issue, though, because the media has been focused on this and attacking you. Under no circumstances, you are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border and I want to drill.
That's
drill,
not. That's
drill.
That's not. Oh, no. That's not.
Except for day one. Except for day one. That's what Trump said. I'm not going to be a dictator except for day one. And the left went crazy. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Kev Ferris, and you're watching Speechless. Thanks so much for tuning in. We have a lot to talk about this week, but let's start off with that, the biggest hoax. Along with that, I also want to make sure that I talk about that we're going to discuss the illegal crime surge of illegal immigrants, the weird Bronx rally with AOC and fire alarm puller Jamal Bowens, the 10 commandments in the classroom, separation of church and state, all that stuff. Chicken Company goes full woke with Juneteenth, some fat phobia discussion, Project 2025, and if we can get to it, we're going to do Dear Kev reactions, which is like Dear Abby, but better because it's me, and I give less of a shit than Abby does. So let's get on into it. We have a lot to discuss today, everybody. But we're going to start off with that hoax, that video, which has sparked even further conversation among different liberals. And they keep spreading this idea that Trump says he's going to be a dictator. Trump's going to be a dictator. And it's getting everybody all in a tizzy of some kind. But I want to rewatch that clip. I want to talk about it exactly for what he says in it, because everything will pause where Democrats pause it, and they fail to discuss what actually comes after. Good evening, everybody. Make sure to leave me a comment. And I'm just so excited for tonight's show that I forgot to even say, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. Make sure if you're subscribing, ring that notification bell, hit it to all. Thank you for doing all of those things. Share this with your friends. If you're on Twitter, X right now, please reshare this. I'd really appreciate it. Reshare. If you're on YouTube, share the link with people, everything like that. But let's get back to this clip that we started off with right here. And I've played it on this show before. It's not the first time we're talking about it. But let's take a look at it for what it really is. This was from a town hall with Fox News back in December of 2023, 6 months ago. 6 months ago. And while 6 months ago, I mean, this was December near Christmas time, an amazing time, beautiful time, perfect time, amazing time for a lot of things. This is 6 months ago, and people are still talking about this. Take a look and listen.
Issue, though, because the media has been focused on this and attacking you. Under no circumstances, you are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy.
Except for day one. Except for day one. And he said that because he knew it would get a rise out of the media. But that's where the liberals pause it. They never would listen to the rest of it.
For day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border and I want to drill.
That's
drill,
not. That's
drill.
That's not.
Oh, no.
That's not retribution.
I'm going to be, you know, he keeps, we love this guy. He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one. We're closing.
That's it. That's the clip right there.
The border, and we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator.
So that sounds to me like you're going back to the policies when you were president. All right.
Exactly.
Which, as I've said several times, what that is exactly what every president does. On day one, if you look at Joe Biden did like hundreds of executive orders, and he promised on day one he would repeal everything Trump did, which included was not just all the conservative policy that an average Democrat would disagree with. No, it got rid of the policy that Trump had that made insulin so much cheaper for people. It got rid of the historically the unprecedented amount of money that Trump gave to historically black colleges and universities. It got rid of our tariffs that we put on foreign nations. And so now we've emboldened people to create goods that should be made in America. Basically, this is what every president does. Is there a quote unquote dictator on day one to begin advancing their agenda? But of course, the left still pushes this narrative that Trump is the worst of the worst, that he's a terrible, terrible dictator. And in fact, while I've been talking about it a lot on this show, many potential VP hopefuls have been going across the mainstream media, especially on Sunday morning shows, discussing and defending former President Trump, future President Trump, excuse me, if you ask me. And so then you have people like Doug Burgum, who went on CNN, and he went scorched earth, as I would describe it, against a CNN host in which they were trying to push this idea that Donald Trump would be a dictator. And the best thing about Burgum is not only does he defend Trump, he also turns it back against the host and against the left. Take a look and listen to this clip right here.
3 branches of government, and this president, more like any other, has bypassed Congress, because as a governor of a natural resources state, a big ag state, we're facing over 30 rules and mandates. Each one of those could be 800 pages to 1,400 pages long. None of them have come from Congress, and all of them could literally kill the industries that we have in our state, including baseload electricity, which we need to be competitive in the arms race around AI with China, who's building baseload electricity plants like 2 a month. So that's happening without Congress. And then, of course, on the student loan thing, when the Supreme Court ruled against him, then he just said, hey, we'll figure a different way to do it. So I just think that there's, again, a double standard here. He is bypassing the other 2 branches of government to push an ideological view, whether it's on economics or whether it's on climate extremism. He's doing that without using the other branches. And I think
you don't like his executive orders and you don't like his policies. I understand that. I don't think anyone expects the Republican governor to agree with President Biden on that. But it's not a dictatorship.
Well, I think, again, part of where this word has come from there's been a nonstop media attack on President Trump, saying that he might use executive orders when he takes office. And was trying to make the point here that under this current administration, most of the changes that are driving inflation in our country, the stuff he's not doing on the border, which he could be doing with executive orders. I mean, the open borders and the inflation are things that he's doing by himself alone, ignoring the other branches of government.
Well,
Exactly. And so while the left will consistently say that Donald Trump is the dictator, we see Doug Burgum comes out here and he's honest. And he's like, look at everything that Joe Biden has done. If you want to talk about somebody who's a quote unquote dictator, then maybe it's the person who has consistently bypassed Congress, sought to bypass the Supreme Court, basically not care about any other branch of government. Yeah, who is more of the dictator? The person who is, when literally everybody is like, no, Biden, you can't do that. And he's like, well, I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to find a way to do it anyways. Yeah. Who's the dictator? The guy who says jokingly, only on day one. That guy? Or the bumbling idiot who just says, oh, I don't really care what everybody tells me I can and can't do. I'm just going to do what I want anyways. Who is the dictator? And of course, obviously, it's Joe Biden. And Doug Burgum knows that. Doug Burgum obviously knows that. But the thing is that in that last clip that I played of Trump earlier, what are the things that he said he was going to be a dictator on? Well, he said he was going to be a dictator on the first thing he said is he said he was going to close down the southern border. It was the first thing he said, is that he was going to close down the southern border. But right now, our southern border is absolutely in shambles. That's what we really need. That's not even a dictator. That would be somebody that we really do. That would be a policy that we really do need. And there's a lot of stories that I want to discuss when it comes to that, about the illegal immigrant crime surge that we're currently seeing. But I do want to take a minute to say, if you guys want to join the show in the comments section, especially on my YouTube, and you want to talk about separation of church and state, which is something we'll be talking about with the Louisiana 10 Commandments bill, don't be afraid. Join the StreamYard. All you got to do is have a camera and a mic. And the mic can literally just be like AirPods or a headset or something like that. So you could literally FaceTime in on your phone. Don't worry. We can get you on the show if you want to, everybody. So, and don't forget to comment. I see we got Jim Adams in the comment section. I saw at one point we had Demon Goral. Who knows where she went? But please, please, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And in the meantime, I will get to more comments and everything, but let's get on to the next story. And there's a few of these that I want to talk about. Is we have a crime surge as it relates to illegal aliens in this country. We do. And so I'm going to talk about two big stories, and I will say that these are a little bit PG-13 to R, so just as a quote-unquote trigger warning, which I really hate that, but you know what I mean. Let's start with this one here. Biden-era illegal alien pleads guilty to, you guys can read, a child in Iowa. An illegal alien who entered the United States under President Joe Biden has recently pled guilty to a 12-year-old girl in Iowa. The Washington Examiner exclusively reported on Tuesday that Honduran national junior Manuel Dubon Benitez, 18, pled guilty last month in Iowa District Court to blank a child. He was arrested this year on Valentine's Day on suspicion of sexual abuse upon Jane Doe, a 12-year-old child, at a home in Waterloo, Iowa. The attack happened a few days after or before he was arrested. Dubon Benitez was initially charged with second-degree sexual abuse, but accepted a plea deal for third-degree sexual abuse, the report said, adding that he faces up to 10 years in state prison. This 18-year-old individual illegally entered the U.S. near Hidalgo, Texas in April 2022 as a 16-year-old. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, filed a detainer request against him so that when he is released from state prison, he will be deported back to Honduras. The news comes after another Biden-era illegal alien admitted to prosecutors in New York City this week that he, too, blanked a young girl. Christian Giovanni Inga Landy, 25, was arraigned on multiple charges after a group of Good Samaritans beat him up and held him until authorities were able to arrest him on Tuesday. He had been on the run for several days after he attacked a 13-year-old girl in Casena Park in Queens. The New York Post reported that the Ecuadorian national was charged for predatory sexual assault. We are seeing an influx under Biden's border policy, and really when I say border policy, lack thereof, Biden's blatant disregard for the fact that a country need have borders. We are seeing an increase in crime, and it's not popular whatsoever. And so we even see instances like this. 2 Venezuelan illegal aliens who came in under Biden charged with murdering a young girl in Texas. 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela were charged this week with allegedly murdering a young girl in Houston, Texas. A 21-year-old and a 26-year-old were each charged with capital murder in the killing of a 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungere. The Houston Police Department responded to a call about a girl floating in a shallow creek on Monday. She was pronounced dead on the scene. These are not uncommon stories. These have gotten to a place where I am jam-packing a segment with multiple instances. Gross, disgusting, sad, depressing, just absolutely insane instances of illegal aliens committing heinous acts in our country. This really got brought to the forefront. Look, nobody was ever questioning that Biden was doing a poor job handling the border. I mean, on day 1, or maybe it was like day 7, he announced that Kamala Harris would be the border czar. And it took her like a year before she ever even visited the border. The immigration and it being illegal or having illegal immigrants has never been at the forefront of Biden's policy. No, instead, he'd much rather worry about having a diverse White House staff that includes mentally ill individuals who believe that they're a gender that they're not, or having a director of health and human services of health that is not only delusional in being a man that pretends to be a woman, but also is not by any means a picture of health, Rachel Levine. That's the world. That's what the Biden administration is concerned with. The Biden administration is more concerned with making sure that if you have $500 transferred to your Venmo account, they want that money. They want to make sure they come get it so they can spend it on random wasteful crap like their diversity initiatives. They'd rather do that than protect you and your family. They'd rather take the money that goes to police departments, defund the police. This is what the Biden admin, this is what Democrats want. They'd rather take the money that goes to police departments and reallocate that to filling our institutions and our school children with absolute crap, with nothingness. And why? Why do they want to do this? Why are they doing it? Why don't they care about crime? Why don't they care about? You can ask yourself that. You can ask yourself that all day long. And while we might never actually get a concrete answer, because they're going to claim that their whole ideology is based on love and acceptance, and oh man, like we just need to be so accepting of these two Venezuelan people who murdered a child. That's what they're going to claim. And you're going to have a lot of people, average people, that are going to walk around in the streets and say, oh, well, you're a bigot if you don't support Biden. You're a racist piece of crap. No. I don't care if these people are Venezuelan. I wouldn't care if they're Mexican, African, Swedish, Chinese. I don't care. They're not supposed to be here. They are here because Biden welcomes them with open arms. And now a young girl is dead. And others are traumatized for life. And the thing is that this is not only something like, because the media is reporting on these crimes, and because we are seeing them, they're now coming to our front door. Like the people in Iowa, they rarely ever had to deal with a flood of illegal immigrants. No. But now that there are so many, millions and millions and millions coming across our southern border, now people in northern states actually have to pay attention and deal with the consequences of a rogue federal government. But even Democrats and liberals, traditional liberals, have started to recognize the insanity that is Biden's border crisis. And so we have people like Andrew Cuomo and Bill Maher discussing the border and how terrible it is. And ironically, the quote-unquote Republican on this panel, who is spineless Adam Kinzinger, he has nothing to say, while the liberals have a lot. Take a look and a listen to this clip from Bill Maher's show from yesterday, I believe.
His immigration policy was a mistake, right? I get the theory of the extreme left. We're a land of immigrants, let everyone come in. We all came as immigrants. I get it. But how you do it makes all the difference in the world, right? And to just open the borders with no plan, you don't know where they go, you don't know who's going to pay for them. They wind up in cities all across the country. New York has a couple of 100,000 in hotels, costing New York City a fortune. No jobs, no training, no help assimilating into society. So who did you even help, right? It was a great theory.
You have the person in your old job, the governor of New York.
So here's the thing, and he's going to get into the, but you heard, I want to play the last part that Cuomo says right there. Listen to this one more time.
It was a great theory.
It was a great theory. And that's exactly what happens is you have Democrats who they push this ideology and this narrative because it's like, oh, well, like he started off, like Cuomo started off, is they say, well, we're a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. In the definition of the term, yes, technically people immigrated over to what we now know as the United States of America. But no, you'd have some on the extreme left that wouldn't even say we're a nation of immigrants. They'd say we're a nation of colonizers. And they say that as if it's a bad thing. What I would say is we're a nation of conquerors. We're a nation of conquerors that ultimately allowed for immigration because we were trying something that had never been done before. The entire idea of America had never been done before. We're not a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of conquerors. That's how we've started. That's how we were founded. The land was conquered, not colonized, conquered. Fights, wars took place to obtain this land. If not wars, then deals made to purchase it, depending on what part of the country you're looking at. Then along with that, when we did allow for, well, when I say we, even my people were technically immigrants that came here. It was this idea of, hey, let's bring people over. We have a country to build. We'll accept anybody. Because we have to build a country. We have to build an infrastructure. We have to, other countries are years and years, are centuries ahead of us. If you look at a significant portion of Europe, like where we came from. Over in Britain. Centuries of history, of buildings, infrastructure, government. We didn't have all that. So of course, when you read the Statue of Liberty and it says things like, give me you're tired, you're hungry, and you're poor. The purpose for that was because we have work to do. We have a country to build. This was an experiment known as the Great American Experiment. And things like race and diversity, look, it wasn't about let's check all the boxes of let's make sure we have a good amount of Irish, let's make sure we have a good amount of these and that and this color. It wasn't like flavors. Or let's make sure we have all the different colors of the rainbow in America. No. There was a lot. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, if you know anything, if you have half a brain cell about American history, yes, racial tension has been there for a long time. And not just racial tension in terms of black, white, brown, whatever. No, like racial tension in terms of a person who is of one ethnicity, like Italian or Irish, having prejudice that goes both ways between another person that might have a white skin color, like a Polak or a Brit. It wasn't always just black, white, brown racism. No. That's reductive of the bigotry in America's history and prejudice. But I'm digressing from the point. The point of what I'm saying is that we will get sold that this is a great theory. That's what the left will say is that everything's great in theory. Communism is great in theory. Everybody is happy. Everybody is equal. Everybody feels appreciated, blah, 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 blah. And they'll sell this because they sell such a bastardized version of it. Just like what I'm saying is to sell that America is just a nation of immigrants and that means we should take immigrants is shallower than the kiddie pool. It's such a reductive idea of our history, but people will buy it because it's simple, it's edible, and it's digestible. Of course, I mean that metaphorically, but let's continue with what Bill Maher had to say in response. Again, this is former Democratic governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo.
You have the person in your old job, the governor of New York, a Democrat, saying, "Don't come here." Those are her exact words. "Don't come here." And the mayor of New York saying, "This is going to ruin our city." I mean, if I didn't know who was talking, I would have thought that would be Republicans.
Yeah, but they didn't stop them, Bill. They could have stopped
that. Right.
The governor was saying she didn't want them outside of New York City. But the mayor could have said no. The governor could have said no. Many mayors and governors said no. But New York was more of the ideological left. All are welcome. And now we're finding out 200,000 people later, you needed a plan. You needed to know what to do with these people.
And everybody's cheering. You needed a plan. Where was your plan?
I mean, Trump is up. He has a 23-point edge with Latinos on the issue of border security. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is another of those issues where the Democrats trying to be so unracist are actually kind of racist because they don't seem to see Latinos as Americans.
Right.
Like they care about border security too. They're here.
Also, did you notice? I want to talk about exactly what was said, but I want to look here.
200,000 people.
And that's where you
find Trump is up here. Latinos on the issue of border security. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is another of those issues where the Democrats trying to be so unracist are actually kind of racist because they don't seem to see Latinos as Americans.
Right.
Like they care about border security too. They're here.
I don't know where. I need to make sure I show you guys exactly what I'm trying to talk because of course the topic is very interesting. I see Jim said, "Dang, having internet problems tonight." Is that on my end? Can you guys hear me? Make sure you let me know in the comments if you guys can hear and see everything that's going on. If there is an issue, tell me exactly specifically what it is in the comments so I can work to fix it. But let's take a, I want to make sure that you guys notice because we can talk more about the content, but there was a third person in this panel. There was a third person in this panel and it was not Bill or Andrew. No. Adam Kinzinger was on this panel. didn't say like anything. Yes, look right there. If you can look on the screen right here, you can see that's Andrew Cuomo, that's Bill Maher, and that's Adam Kinzinger. Adam Kinzinger doesn't seem to have anything about the fact that Trump is doing well with Latinos, that our border is not secure. Silent. Kinzinger, who said he left because he just wanted to exit the public eye and had nothing to do with his shilling as a rhino. No. Kinzinger now is back in the public eye, going on Bill Maher's show to say absolutely jack shit about the border crisis. As we have the border crisis, for which what mattered more to Kinzinger was to oust Trump rather than to protect Americans. Just want to make that abundantly clear. But then we even talk about, like, here's how I know that Trump is going to win, is because Trump is going to win because he has Andrew Cuomo and Bill Maher talking about how the border is a major issue that Americans care about. And I think it's really important to hone in as well on what Bill Maher said near the end there, is that in trying to be so unracist, the left is racist. And this is something I talk about on the show all the time. This is something that many conservatives understand, is that, yes, the left is racist in its anti-racism. Because they get up and they claim, oh, Trump is such a racist. We love you, Latinos. But it's never, we love you, Americans. It's, we love you, Latinos. They only see your race. They see you as a voting bloc. And they assume that because, oh, this is actually what I guarantee you many on the left, not everybody, but many on the left do, is they think, oh, well, everybody that's coming across our southern border is Hispanic, which also is not true. It's not true. We have people that are from Middle Eastern nations, from China. Like, we have a lot of other people. It's not only Hispanics, but a lot are, of course, because we have Hispanic countries directly to our south. So they see that and they're like, oh, well, that means every Hispanic person must identify with the illegals. So even legal Hispanic Americans must identify with the illegals. But no. Many of them, and I've been saying this since 2016. I've been talking about this since I was like 15 years old. That the more the left does this, that they equate all Hispanics with illegal immigrants, and they claim that that's what Republicans do, the more they're going to lose. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Because Republicans see it as, hey, we just don't want illegals here, period. And the left says, you're racist for saying that. We're like, how are we racist? And people are starting to wake up. Just another reason how I know Trump is going to win. Because even Democrats believe that we need a secure border now more than ever. And I was just talking with somebody who's incredibly intelligent the other day, and she was telling me that when she was discussing the ideas that were most important to her on the 2024 ballot, immigration was at the top. And I found that interesting. I was like, I honestly think that's more of the economy. The economy seems a lot bigger to me. And she had said, well, but if you fix immigration, then everything else just kind of trickles down from there. Like, of course, immigration is not necessarily the end all be all for the economy. But if we can fix our southern border and we can get out this wave of migrants, this cheap labor that has been not necessarily taking our jobs in the traditional sense of like, oh, yes, you didn't get that C-level position that you applied for, or that entry level out of your 4-year university degree. No, they're not taking those jobs, but the ones that are taking some level of work and also pay for something that you wouldn't necessarily need or that somebody else could be doing. Yes, they are in some way hurting the economy. Also not paying any taxes and yet still benefiting off the system. Yes, they're hurting the economy. So you could fix the economy. You fix a crime, which is another major thing, which I just discussed, as to how intense illegal immigrant crime has become. So there is like this person said to me, very smart woman said to me, If you fix illegal immigration, if you fix the border, if you secure our border, that starts a chain reaction that solves a significant amount of other problems in our country. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I thought that was very, very smart. So I figured I'd share. We got a lot more things to talk about. We're going to talk about the weird Bronx rally that AOC and Jamal Bowen put on. And then we got the 10 Commandments in Louisiana. It seems to be the only place where anybody reads the 10 Commandments anymore. We got chicken, racist chicken. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you got to stick around. Fat phobia, which of course I'm like the most fat phobic person in the world. 2025, Project 2025, and just how terrible it is. Dear Abby, if we got time for it, and so much more, everybody. But real quick, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Freedom 2.0. You cannot deprogram freedom. I love Freedom 2.0. Of course, I don't always drink water during this show. I have like a little soda over here too. But if you want good water, and you don't want to be deprogrammed, and you want to support good water, support Freedom 2.0, please, please, please. Here's a quick message from them while I get my next segment brought up. But everybody, in the meantime, also, while this ad is going, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. And I'll be right back. Great, beautiful. I love Freedom 2.0. They do a lot of great things. They support a lot of creators like me, and so definitely go check out Freedom 2.0 because they're great water, and it's good water. It actually tastes good. Very hydrating. Very hydrating. So I want to talk next about this weird rally that happened in the Bronx. So I don't know if you guys remember, but if you follow my show, which you should, and if you don't, make sure to go like, subscribe, comment, share, all of that. But about a month ago or so, somewhere within the last month or so, Donald Trump threw a rally in the Bronx that had a really good turnout, a surprising turnout for the traditionally liberal area that the Bronx is. Well, there was a different kind of weird rally that happened in support of Jamal Bowman. Jamal Bowman, of course, is the representative that pulled the fire alarm during a very important vote to try to get out of it regarding, it was actually, I believe, regarding the speakership. But so there was this really, really weird rally that happened, and it was the squad reps, AOC, Bowman, and Jamal Bowen, and they had a cringeworthy antics that happened at this rally that happened just, I believe, yesterday at an R-rated New York City rally to boost the embattled Dem. So desperate Dem rep Jamal Bowen enlisted heavy artillery from his party's progressive wing for a weekend rally in the Bronx to try to shore up his failing re-election bid. But viral clips of the event's cringy onstage antics show the last-ditch effort badly backfired. Footage from Saturday's campaign rally at St. Mary's Park in Mont Haven showed the severely struggling incumbent and fellow squad member AOC acting like buffoons from the stage, giving the internet with heaps of unintentional humor. And so I figured, as a nice person who wants to show anybody who watches this show a good time, I figured that I'd let us laugh a little bit at AOC and Jamal Bowman and just break down, just kind of like just try to break down who these people are. Let's really break this down. And so let's start off with a clip of AOC just being incredibly weird during this rally. Take a look and a listen to this clip of AOC at this rally that we're talking about in the Bronx right here.
Are you ready to win this country back? And are you ready to fight for freedom back?
Okay, so I don't know if you could hear that first part, but I'm going to like kind of pause through this. Because she's obviously screaming like a wild banshee, as my parents would have said as a child. Seems to be very, very emotional about something, and also saying some things that I question. So let's start that one more time. Let's listen to the very beginning. And it might take us a while to get through this 30-second clip because there's just so much to talk about here. Let's start here.
Are you ready to win this country back?
Okay, so I don't know if you just heard that, but she said, "Are you ready to win this country back?" AOC, as of right now, Democrats, which is your party, hold a like 50-50 split in the Senate, basically hold the Senate. Small margin, but basically hold the Senate. You hold the executive branch, and you're only losing Congress by a very slim amount. So what are you winning this country back? You hold control. Like, you have power. You have the entire executive branch and half, essentially, of the legislative branch. Win this country back? You're winning right now. Yeah, sure, maybe it's slim, but as of right now, you hold the power. But okay, let's keep going with the Screaming Banshee.
And are you ready to fight for peace and God? A peace
I couldn't understand half that. If anybody knows gibberish fluently, please help me.
I
don't know about y'all. Sound like Medea.
I am ready to fight. Let's hear it. Let's real quick. Thank you everybody so much.
Played with her hair a lot there. Did you guys see that near the end? Just playing with her hair, trying to figure out exactly like how to get it. And also, it seemed like she was trying to with that. I don't know about y'all. Sounded like she was trying to pander to black people, but I won't be definitive on that. But that's what it sounded like to me.
I don't know about y'all. I am ready to fight. Let's hear it.
And with her hair a lot. And with her hair a lot.
Let's real quick. Thank you everybody so much.
So that was whatever that was. Oh, very, very. My cat just ran away. My goldfish just drowned. I don't say this very often, but she needs a joint. Yeah, something like that. She's very, very, very emotional during that one. But then we have, and so obviously part of this, for some reason, part of this is about a ceasefire in Gaza. Let's take a look at this one. This is Jamal Bowman, who is the one who pulled the fire alarm to get out of the speaker vote to try to make Republicans look even worse. And I'd like to start off with, what is he wearing here? Like, what is this? What is this outfit? Who told him that this looks good? You can see this yellow tank top that looks like he just cut the sleeves off. And also is not flattering whatsoever. Like, it definitely looks like he could stand to lose a few pounds. And then you also have like those shorts there too. Those gray shorts, which are just in and of themselves, they look kind of ratty, like as if like he really didn't he didn't really think that one through. Like, it just does not look good. He looks like he like just got out of bed. This is absolutely insane. Like, I cannot imagine that this is actually what he thought would be a good I'm not even sure. Actually, I don't even think those are cut off. We got more videos that I want to do with this, but that was just, oh my God. Okay. Let's watch this one because I have some others that I'm going to pull up too, but it looks like the sleeves are cut off. They might actually just be rolled up. We'll figure this out. We'll get to the bottom of this, but let's also listen to hear exactly what Jamal Bowman had to say. Also, I do believe this has profanity in it, just so you guys know.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Yep, you can see here. In fact, he does have, they're not cut off. They were rolled up sleeves, which is even worse in my opinion, but overweight individual jumping up and down. What was that? Also, the windmills he's doing too. He's getting some fitness on there. Okay, maybe I shouldn't totally make fun of him because while he might be a little fat, at least he's getting some calories doing some windmills. He's working up a sweat. Then he starts jumping up and down too. And he got winded, I bet. He probably got winded there.
We're gonna show them who the fuck we are.
We are going to show them who the F we are. Now, what I understand this as, from the context that I've been given, is that he's saying that they're gonna show the Jews or the Israelis who the F they are. I think that's what I was told. Maybe I'm wrong.
Bowman, Bowman.
Then he starts to cheer his own name with the crowd. Listen to that one more time.
Bowman, Bowman.
That this is what when people say that people in Congress are egomaniacs, this is what they mean. This is what they mean. And so that was obviously what we saw in terms of what they actually did on stage. But here's actually what they put out too. This is what I think is funny. Who is this goofball? This man is literally a current congressman who pulled a fire alarm to try to get out of a vote. Like this is a joke. This goofball is a joke. This is a real person who was elected to Congress. That's the crazy thing to me. But here is some of their own press that they put out themselves. Take a look and listen to this clip from, it looks like my audio has gone. So let's pull this back up right here. Okay. So let's take a look and listen to this clip that they put out, like a TikTok version. Here.
What's up, everybody? We are just a few days out till the election day, our primary election on Tuesday, June 25th. But the good news is that the polls are open right now, and we are here for our brother, Jamal Bowman. We want to turn out the vote. I don't care if you live in New York 16 and are turning out to vote for him. I don't care if you live outside New York 16. We are texting our friends. We are turning out. We are calling our friends in Tuckahoe, in White Plains, in New Rochelle, in Yonkers, and telling them to vote for Jamal Bowman.
Ceasefire now, y'all. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Ceasefire now. Let's get it
That's
popping.
Right.
The polls are open today. The polls are open tomorrow. Make sure you get out to vote. Election day is Tuesday. Let's go. We need record turnout all across the district, especially in Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Co-op City, and Edenwald. Let's get it popping. Let's change the world. It's the many versus the money. We're going to win.
Right.
Let's go, baby.
We're going to win. We're going to take on AIPAC, and we're going to kick some Wall Street ass.
Look, here's the thing is it's quite.
Let's go.
Stop the bombs.
It's quite clear. Look, I want to ask these people, all the people that were not even just the ones at this rally, but the people in their area, what are the biggest issues to them? Look, I care about the wars. I care about the wars. But you want to know what I really care about? The ability to afford groceries, gas, the crime that has taken over, the illegal immigrants that are committing violent and disgusting, heinous crimes on anybody, but especially on children and women. That's what I care about. I don't know a single person that actually contributes anything of serious significance to society that thinks that says that their number one issue on the ballot is a ceasefire or anything that has to do with Gaza. I really don't know. But then we go back to like the article that I showed right here, and we can see there are people here. They must not have jobs or anything. I don't know. You can see donkey-faced AOC being a donkey. You can see her. She also has quite the fashion outfit. If we look at this picture here, we could see the like weird camp counselor khaki shorts that she's wearing, with the unbuttoned men's dress shirt. It's just a really interesting. But then we could see billionaires can't buy the Bronx. So what is their messaging here? Because it seems like all they're talking about is AIPAC, which is the American Israel PAC. And then they also have things about billionaires, and that's the problem. Like so many different issues here. Like it's just, and then we have Queer Femme for Palestine. Go and actually visit Palestine. And and see how that works out for you. And there have a lot of people that are here, obviously. Oh, Bernie Sanders even spoke there. I think I actually have a clip of Bernie Sanders speaking at this event. If I do, I want to pull it up because I think this would be quite interesting. Yeah, Bernie has, I have a quick clip here where we can show Bernie at this event speaking. Let's take a look and a listen.
So what this campaign is about is telling the billionaire class and their greed and their super PACs, they are not going to destroy American democracy.
Just in case you were wondering, Bernie Sanders is a multimillionaire with several homes and beachfront properties. And at one point, he used to talk about the millionaires and the billionaires, the millionaires and the billionaires, the millionaires and the billionaires. Now he only says the billionaires. Why? I wonder. They don't have any sense of clear messaging. And it's clear to me that this is what's going to lose in 2024. Now, Jamal Bowman might not lose. AOC probably won't lose. Bernie probably won't lose. I don't even think he's up for re-election. He might be, but I don't think he is. But that, like, they might not lose as individuals, but their ideology will lose by and large. Why? Because you can't follow it. Like, a lot of times I think that they look at the world around them and they think that because, oh, they're just so smart. Like, they get a certain sense of being high and mighty as if they're so smart, as if they have everything figured out, as if they know it all, that they think that they're like spewing this beautiful tapestry of an intellect, and they're on a different level, and that I'm just too stupid to understand it. That's what they'd say. When in reality, they're sitting and connecting dots that aren't there, making logical assumptions that are illogical, and simply ignoring fact for the purpose of either blatant ignorance because they have a view of what they would want to see the world as rather than what it is, or for self-promotion and individual gain and selfishness. It's one of those two. Just saying. That's what I would see it as. We got a few other things to talk about here today. Up next, we're gonna kind of take a bit of a change and talk about fat phobia, and then we're gonna get to the 10 Commandments and some other things here. I want to make sure that I have time for as much as possible. I might have to make individual videos for other things, so to make sure you guys don't miss a minute, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. But definitely subscribe to YouTube, Speechless with Kev Ferris, because you don't want to miss a minute of anything that I talk about on this show. I have a lot of fun here, and make sure you're involved in the comments. I see I haven't seen Oklahoma Chicken Cam today. I've seen Jim Adams in here a lot though. It must be easy to want higher taxes if you've never had a job. Yeah, absolutely. It's called fashion, Kevin. You wouldn't understand. I wouldn't understand, apparently, Jamal Bowman's fashion. However, I am looking good by the same standards. So pick one. Which is it? Just saying. Demon Girl. Might want to think about that. Just saying. But let's talk about fat phobia here. And we're going to start off with something. And I'm going to share something with you guys. I shared it to Twitter or X. But I don't think it got as much attention as I thought it should have, because I thought it was really funny. So take a look here. This is an X post that I made yesterday. And I said, the fat phobia made me do it. And this is a picture of a workout I did yesterday in which I ran 13.11 miles, which is a half marathon. I did this on my own accord. I did not do this like through signing up for a half marathon or anything like that. No. I just did this because I felt like it. And I wanted to share this because not because I'm bragging or anything, but because it was a significant point in my life to where I really realized, like 3 years ago, I broke my ankle and I was told I had like a 50% chance of ever walking normally again. A little over a year ago, I was medically obese. Around the time that I started streaming this, I was considered medically obese. And here I am now. And I was physically able not only to run a half marathon, forget the half marathon, forget the distance. I was physically able to walk or keep continuous motion for 2 hours and 17 minutes. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go a half marathon, 13 miles, whatever. But if you want to be dedicated to a healthy lifestyle, you just need to you just need to move. It's the motion of the ocean. Just move. Get up and move. Move. Just make like Jamal Bowman, do the windmills, jump up and down. That's all you got to do. And do it for a sustained period of time. Get your heart rate up. That's how you do it. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, but it's not that hard. It's a lot harder in your mind. You want to know how I did this half marathon? Is I get up every morning and I say, I'm going to run 3 miles, a 5K. I'm going to run 3 miles. And so yesterday morning I got up and then I thought, what do I really have to do? I don't really have anything else to do today. Like that, not that much. It's a Saturday. I don't have to go to work. I don't have much else to do. Cleaning, average stuff. So then I ran another 3. And I was tired, but I was like, I grabbed a bottle of water real quick as I was running. And I said, okay, I guess I could do another one then. I'll do 3 more. And I said, you know what? I'm already here. Let's do a half marathon. And what I want to tell you guys is that what's hard, because a lot of people will be like, oh man, a half marathon, it must be so hard. No. The half marathon itself is not what's hard. Working out for 2 hours and 17 minutes, even that is not necessarily what's hard. What's hard is today. Today, Sunday, the day after I did this big workout. The day after I did this big workout, I ran another 5K. I ran 3 miles. I wasn't going to go do another half marathon. Would have basically been killing myself there, unaliving. But I still ran another 5K. Why? And why was that hard? That's harder. Because after you do something good, there is cause for celebration. But you'll constantly hear people, especially the mental health people, they'll tell you, they'll be like, some days, and I hear this a lot, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I'll hear, I was just thinking about this. I think a lot. But I listen to some of these mental health people, and they'll be like, some days, just waking up and getting out of bed is in and of itself an accomplishment. And I know what they mean. Because there are people that are severely depressive and they lay in bed all the day and they're like, oh my gosh, poor me. And so just getting up is an accomplishment. But really, you want to know what the accomplishment is what are you doing after you get up? That's where the accomplishment comes in. What did you achieve? Not every day is a half marathon day. Some days, necessity calls. Fixing your toilet like Jim did. I don't know, maybe it's warm outside. Maybe you got a lot of cicadas. You got to take care of bugs. I don't know. You got to do lawn care. Necessity can breed your accomplishment. But what's your half marathon? What's your half marathon? Because I'm telling you, after running one, getting up and out of bed is not the same for anybody as running a half marathon, because I had to get up and out of bed too. What do you do after that? Ask yourself that. And do you make excuses? Thank you, Jim. But again, this isn't about me trying, I'll admit part of that is just because I'm proud of myself and I want to share my achievement. But I also think that there are people out there that could benefit from it, especially people that don't sit back and say that it's everybody else's fault that I am where I am. And so then we get into somebody like this, I'll admit, this was posted to Libs of TikTok, but I think this is absolutely insane because there's a TikToker who has an absolute breakdown because she tried diagnosing herself, but her doctor instead suggested that she's a fatty. This person that has no medical like training or anything tried diagnosing herself and then gets really, really sad when her doctor says, no, you're actually fat. Let's react to this together. We'll take it clip by clip right here.
I had an appointment with my OB today, and normally she's always been very, very good. But I haven't seen her in a few months, I think since last fall, last summer maybe, not 100% sure. But she asked me how like all of my GI stuff is going because of my autoimmune disease. And I leveled with her. I was completely honest with her because I felt safe.
Also notice, I mean, we haven't even gotten to the bulk of this story yet, but notice how even just breathing seems to be very difficult. Like breathing while talking, like she's not able to breathe while from just sitting and talking to a camera. Like it's obviously stressful for her. You can see it.
And I told her how I felt like my doctors were ignoring me, how they were pushing me off to the side, that they weren't listening to me. They weren't going through any side effects of the medications that I'm on. One of the more severe symptoms that I do experience, I found out through Grey's Anatomy.
Yes. Because I get my legal advice from Suits, my medical advice from Grey's Anatomy. That's exactly how you should live your life. That's like saying that that's like saying that you earned your degree from Wikipedia. Like that makes no sense. If my doctor told me, and I went into a surgery and my doctor said to me, don't worry, I prepared for this. I watched all of Grey's Anatomy in the last month. I would leave. I don't care what the surgery is for. If it's supposed to be life-saving, I would take my life in my own hands over letting a doctor who their claim to knowledge is Grey's Anatomy take care of me.
And then she started talking to me and she's like, okay, well, what do you think you have? And I said that I had COVID last fall and that I think that I might have POTS.
I think you might be fat.
And that I also might have EDS because my hip pops out of place all the time.
Maybe it's because of all the weight you're putting on those hips.
I'm in constant pain.
Maybe it's because you're fat.
I have like all of these little symptoms.
There's a lot of symptoms that come along with being fat.
And then she starts going on about bariatric surgery, weight loss surgery specifically. And
maybe it could help.
She knows I have a history with EDs, eating disorders.
Thought she meant erectile dysfunction at first, and I was like, wait. I did see the they, them, but I was pretty sure.
She starts talking about BMI. And then she starts to recommend Ozempic for me. And
one thing I will say, okay, so for her, for this fat woman, and I'm going to go back to before the Ozempic because I just wanted to, because we will talk about that. But she starts talking about BMI. One thing I will say, and I'm not excusing this girl, but I will say BMI is kind of a flawed statistic, body mass index, because the way that body mass index is calculated is a ratio of a person's weight to the square of their height. So you could have somebody who has a higher weight and also a shorter height that indicates a high BMI, but the reason that this is the case is because their weight is high due to a large amount of muscle. So like this happens with bodybuilders. You have a lot of bodybuilders, people who are in incredibly good shape, eat perfectly, exercise like it's their full-time job, but they have a high BMI because of the density that muscle has. And their BMI will be comparable to somebody who is morbidly obese and of a similar height because it's just the ratio of weight to height. So I will say BMI is a difficult statistic, that is a complicated statistic, which for this individual, I would say that the BMI would be concerning.
Talking about BMI, and then she starts to recommend Ozempic for me, and I'm getting visibly distressed on this phone call. I'm about to cry. I'm going to cry now. I asked her not to talk about BMI stuff with me because of its history as a tool of eugenics and racism. And
okay, that is not why BMI is complicated. Eugenics and racism and colonialism,
and I'm indigenous. And then she's like, okay, what would you like me to replace that term with?
Fat!
And I've never had this experience with her before. And I just finished telling her about how my other doctors do not listen to me. So I'm really fucking tired of medical professionals
being medically professional. You're very tired of medical professionals being medically professional.
And yeah, I don't know what to do. I'm moving in a few months anyways. So I guess like there's not much that I can do, but I just needed to like get this off my chest.
There's a lot of things you should probably get off your chest.
And yeah, medical fat phobia is rampant, even in Canada.
I had so here's the thing with this woman. So there's a few things that she suffers from. The first is fat. And this is what's causing pretty much all the issues, or at least it has a significant impact on all the issues. And when I say all the issues, I don't just mean whatever all these medical issues that she's talking about are. No, it's also causing, if you think about it, her being fat is also causing her all of this distress. It is. I mean, she wouldn't have to make this video. She wouldn't have to be worried about all of these or about this doctor being quote unquote medically fat phobic or anything like that. She wouldn't have to worry about any of that if she just worked on losing the weight. Calories in versus calories out. If she was able to have that constant motion, to have motion and to move. If you moving loses weight. All you got to do is move. Move. She says she's moving soon. But the thing is, no matter where you move to, big woman, you're going to run into doctors that are going to tell you that being fat is bad for you because medically it is bad for you. And so here's the thing is that if medical fat phobia, which is crocodile Grundy here, medical fat phobia, well, guess, or geez, what our school system has turned out. Exactly. But the thing is that what our school system has turned out, actually, if you had a doctor, and I know this, I'm working with a personal injury firm. I've done some work in law regarding medical malpractice. Very, very minimal. I'm not going to claim to be an expert. This is not legal advice by any means. Legally, I'm going to tell you, I am by no means an expert. I do not have a law degree. I'm not representing anybody as an attorney, nothing like that. But I would be hard-pressed to find an attorney that would take the case of you claiming medical malpractice for your doctor telling you that being fat is causing the issue. Because here's the thing, is that if your issues are not actually in some way caused by your weight, then you would have a case for medical negligence, for medical malpractice, based on negligence that your doctor is not living up to their standard of care. So take them to court, claim that them calling you fat was not only bigoted, but also against the standard of care, and you could stand to win a lot of money. But the thing is that is within the standard of care. It is diagnosable. It is provable. It is provable that so many health benefits come from even just losing 5 pounds of fat. And then continuously, even further on top of that, the amount of pressure you're relieving from your heart, the amount of pressure that you're removing from your joints in your motion, along with emotional changes as well. You wouldn't have all this distress. And that leads me to another thing. Is what I said earlier, is that a part of the left's fantasy is just that, is that it's a fantasy. No matter what you think, no matter what you want, it is not healthy to be the weight that you are. And I'm sorry that it's so obviously distressing for you, but you wouldn't be in this position if you worked to lose the weight. And you wouldn't be in this position. The other thing too is like there are people that claim like, oh my gosh, I do so much work, and I can't lose the weight. Okay. But keep trying. Don't get on like the way that I know that that's not this woman is because she gets on here and claims that it's fat phobic to even mention that some health problems can be due to weight. So the left lives in this fantasy where they blame everyone but themselves. And that's exactly what Jim said. And then she also not only blames it, she also blames, I'm not going to talk about BMI. She could have easily brought up the same argument I did against BMI. That it is a flawed statistic because all it does is measure the ratio of height to weight and doesn't take into account muscle mass or anything. It's just a ratio. She could have brought that up, but instead she goes, it's racist and I'm indigenous. And so because of my historical discrimination and colonialism, then I'm going to be discriminated against by BMI, by being called, my God, who the F gets offended over being called indigenous? Everything's racism and colonialism these days. What a dork. Obviously very, very woke. Try being skinny with your double Ds. With double Ds, your BMI goes through the roof. Yeah, exactly. That's like another example of how BMI is flawed. BMI is absolutely a flawed statistic and is only actually useful in an instance where you take context into account. Because yes, if you are like myself, when I was 5'7", 5'8", and 210 pounds, my BMI indicated obesity. Because I was not living an active lifestyle. I was eating like absolute crap. Of course, my BMI indicated obesity because I was medically obese. But since then, I have lost 50 to 60 pounds. And now I'm considered active and healthy and fit. And look, she seems to need to lose a lot more than 50 to 60 pounds, but the way you start that isn't by saying everybody else needs to conform to my false worldview that being fat is okay. I'm never going to stop the fat phobia trend in discussing fat phobia because I think it's necessary to discuss. But I have other things that I want to make sure I talk about. So I will lay off the fat phobia stuff for a moment's longer, for a little bit longer. But let me know what you guys think. Am I totally wrong? Of course, keep the comments coming. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. Up next, we're going to talk about the 10 Commandments and them being put in Louisiana, down in the bayou where those croc hunters, gator hunters are. And down in NOLA territory, they're going to get some Christ in their curriculum. And we're going to talk about that here. But here, first, quick, a message from my sponsor.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some freedom to go. Now, the Constitution is awesome. Type 1A.
So yes, of course, check out Freedom 2.0. I will always support Freedom 2.0, but and of course they support me. So definitely go check them out. Use code USA at checkout, and you should get 15% off. If not, email me and let me know, and I will make sure I can help you. If you guys always want to let me know about a story or anything, don't forget you can email me directly, speechlesskp@gmail.com. I know sometimes there have been emails that get lost or put in my junk folder. I'm sorry. Let me know in the comments if that ever happens of my next live stream. But I will always do my best to pick up a story if it seems like something I could cover, something I usually cover, something I would know anything about. But let me know, or anything that you want me to react to, any shows. If you want to come on, email me, speechlesskp@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, Venmo, Cash App, right there. Not going to beg for it. You can also super chat, anything like that. If there's anything specific that you want me to do, even on tonight's show, and you support through that, I could do that. But I want to get, of course, to this conversation, which has become quite the conversation, which is Louisiana becomes the first state to require the 10 Commandments to be displayed in classrooms. Louisiana this week, this is out of the Daily Wire, became the first state in the country to require that the 10 Commandments are displayed in every public classroom in the state. Governor Jeff Landry signed the new law on Wednesday during the middle of Pride Month. As woke teachers across the country display far-left Legibitica and transgender flags in classrooms, left-wing orgs vowed to challenge the new law in court, while proponents say that displaying the 10 Commandments in classrooms was not just about religion, but, quote, part of our state and national history, culture, and tradition. The 10 Commandments are to be posted in every classroom, quote, in a large, easily readable font. At every institution that receives public funding, the text of the posters must state the 10 Commandments. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have, and so we're going to go through the 10 Commandments right here. Thou shalt not have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make to thyself any graven images. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother, and that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Included on the posters, the following context statements must be included. The history of the 10 Commandments, which is the prominent part of American public education for almost 3 centuries. Around the year 1688, the New England Premier became the first published American textbook and was equivalent of a first grade reader. The New England Premier was used in public schools throughout the United States. The 10 Commandments are also included in public school textbooks published by educator William McGuffey. Landry said in a statement that the new law helps fulfill the Republican-dominant states' promise to bring drastic reform to our education system and bring common sense back to classrooms. Now, I keep going in the other quote. Strong education system leads to a strong economy, strong state, he said. Our historic dream big package puts the focus back on our kids and allows Louisiana to follow in the footsteps of our neighbors in the South. Now, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this story, but I'm not going to spend too much. And here's why. First off, I'm going to try to get a debate night going for this, because the big debate that this is all about is the separation of church and state, which is something I've talked about on the show before, the separation of church and state, which of course is not really existent for a few reasons. The first off is there's nowhere in the Constitution in which, or even the Declaration of Independence, in which it states that there needs to be a separation of church and state. And there's also, you also need to discuss what that actually means, because you'll have some people that claim a separation of church and state is simple and actually follows the Establishment Clause, which means that the government does not have an established religion, which this does not violate that. And then you also have other people that are like, well, the government can't have any religion ever, no discussion of it, no, like, people in government cannot in and of themselves be religious, which is absolutely absurd, because our government was founded, our country was founded by Christians, by and large. By and large, you might find some research in history that maybe one of them was a polytheist or something, or one of them was maybe not an ardent Christian, or there were different denominations, whatever. But by and large, our country was founded by Christians. Along with that, all of them practiced and believed in Christian values. If they saw the way of which our society acted upon today, and understood what gay pride flags were in classrooms, they would be so confused. That would not be by any means what our country believed or was supposed to be. So people ask me, they're like, Kevin, what do you think about this? Kevin, what do you think about this? Because of course, I don't necessarily believe in a national religion. I think people should be able to practice with the religion that they believe in and what faith they have. I do think some religions are more right than others. I'm a Catholic. I believe Catholics are ultimately the most correct in their faith. I despise religions and ideologies, not individuals, but I despise the Islamic religion. I made that clear. I also despise what Methodist Christianity has become. I believe it actually works for the devil because they have openly and ignored the Bible. And this kind of speaks even further to, and this is a small tangent, but Democrats just want to ignore reality. Like they literally want to ignore reality. They want to ignore that a man can't become a woman and a woman can't become a man. They want to ignore the medical benefits to losing weight and to being fit. And they also want to ignore the actual writings of the Bible in Leviticus where it says a man shall not lay with a man. If he does, it's an abomination. Look, you can believe that's bigotry. You can believe that's prejudice. You can believe we need to accept gay people. But don't tell me that the Bible says there is no sin in being gay. That's my little digression there. Now let's get back to this. Louisiana becomes the first state to require the 10 Commandments to be displayed in the classrooms. Why not? Why not? It's not even saying that we have to teach every child to follow the 10 Commandments, to be a Christian, to follow them as a Baptist would or as a Catholic would. It's not establishing a religion. We require American flags, at least at one point we did. It might change state by state, but at one point we required American flags to be in every classroom. Every morning for school, we said the Pledge of Allegiance. For me, K through 12. Why not also have the 10 Commandments in there? Why not? It's not requiring that every kid need to read them. However, in Illinois, we do have a state mandate that says that we need to have a certain amount of Black history, as if it's not American history. We need to have a certain amount of gay history and LGBTQ plus history. Why is it that we're being forced those religions upon us? And when I say that, I want to be clear. Those are religions. The left practices their own religion, whether they like it or not. The secular ideology in and of itself is some level of a religion with their own original sin, higher power that can in some way exert force upon them and punishment, a way in which they repent. Think about it. Let's take the Black Lives Matter movement as an example. I can take all of them, but let's take the Black Lives Matter movement as an example. The Black Lives Matter movement is a secular religion. The original sin is if you were born white, then you are already a racist. There's nothing you can do about it, no matter what you do. However, you can be a better one. You can repent for said sin by advocating for reparations, for advocating for race-based admissions and hiring practices, for recognizing your original sin of racism. And you can constantly repent in your higher power, being the movement as a whole, the Black community. I even just saw a video of this on, I believe it was Instagram. Maybe I can find it real quick. And this is off script right here. Like, this is not that I script out my shows, but this is off what I had originally planned. But I want to, but I even like, there's actual people that you can get them to kneel for Juneteenth to, I got to see if I can find this. I remember maybe Lance posted it. Let me see if I can find this. I saw a video where you could actually where a guy I know actually got people to kneel for their black cameraman. Let me go on to Instagram here. I'm actually going to find this. Hold up with me, everybody. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere because Lance videos. Here we go. I think he posted it here. Yeah. Okay. Take a look and listen to this clip that I'm going to pull up on screen here in a moment. Share this tab.
Or anything like that?
Low key.
Do you
know what it was until I looked it up?
What? Really? Yeah. Are you guys at least down for BLM? Right? Yeah.
See, once I found out, I was just like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, my black cameraman has a question for you. Okay. He was just wondering if you guys could do the support for the black community. Instead of sending reparations, is that something you guys can do? Like, if that's cool?
Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it then. Get on the one knee and hit it up. Do it some coordinated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. Go.
All right. Sweet. BLM.
They're actually getting people to do this, and it gets better. It gets better. Don't worry.
Go. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Yeah. Have fun spreading AIDS. You guys support like Juneteenth or anything like that?
Oh, he has that one. There was another one. They even got a person to bark. I'm not even kidding you. They even got a person to bark to do this. I gotta see if I could even find that one. But I'm not even kidding. They actually they get people like so. So when I talk about the religion of this all, secularism in and of itself is its own religion. The Black Lives Matter movement is a religion. The climate crisis propaganda. Mother Earth is punishing us for existing. Humans, whether you like it or not, you being born is the original sin. Because you're already emitting too much carbon into the air. You're already because they just want to decrease the population because that already makes too much carbon. So you being born is your original sin. You need to repent for it by doing everything possible, whether that's throwing paint on Stonehenge, interrupting a golf tournament, throwing paint on or soup on the Mona Lisa, crying and saying, "How dare you?" Like Greta Thunberg. You got to do everything you can to stop gas stoves and gas cars. That's how you repent for your original sin. And then if you don't, then Mother Earth, the higher power, is going to punish us by killing us in 12 years or however long it is now. Let's check in with Al Gore. I don't know. But so when somebody comes to me and they say, we need to have a separation of church and state, we need to have a separation of church and state. And hopefully I'll get somebody on the show soon where we'll debate this, probably within this week. I'll debate this with somebody. There is no way to separate church from state, period. First, because that would mean that there is 0 Christians elected to our government. Because anybody who is actually a Christian cannot remove God from their ultimate decision making. Now, they can try to remove God from an argument. I've talked about that. When you discuss abortion and you want to try to get somebody who is not religious onto your side of being pro-life, you don't need to do so with religion. You can. But if they ask for a non-religious argument, there's a non-religious argument for it. You can remove God from an argument. But ultimately, if you are a Christian, if you are deciding on a vote that could ultimately spread a Christian message and you vote against it, you have committed a sin. And if you're shameless about it, then you're not a Christian. Because part of being a Christian is to spread the word of the Lord. So if you want separation of church and state, 1, that would mean no Christians. 2, that would mean no movements. Gay pride is a religion. It's a secular religion, but it's a religion and has its own church. Right now, they have their own month where they're going and doing all their church services in front of children naked in streets, even at Disney World. Black Lives Matter, the race baiting religion. Climate activists, that's its own religion. the anti-capitalist movement against the millionaires and billionaires. That's its own religion. These are all their own secular religions. And so if you want a separation of church and state in the non-definitive term of no religion ever anywhere, you're living in a fantasy world. Just as much as the medical fat phobia girl, just as much as the Dems that believe that the ceasefire is the number one issue for Americans, just as much as those that push the trans agenda, just as much as those that want to ignore the border. I know I'm probably missing some, but just as much as pretty much every Democrat that lives in a fantasy, that wants to deny reality and live in their own perfect, happy, harmonious world that ignores truth. And you want to know the truth? This country was founded on objective morality. This country was founded on an idea that there is right and wrong. This country was founded on the principles found biblically that lay out what is good and what is evil. And at a very, very, very fundamental part of all of that, we have the stones that Moses held, the 10 Commandments. That also, by the way, are not specific to one religion. Every denomination of Christianity recognizes the 10 Commandments. Judaism recognizes the 10 Commandments. And I'm willing to bet, even if you looked at Islam, they'd agree with all the principles of the 10 Commandments. They might change God for Allah in them, but I'm willing to bet, I mean, the neighbor's wife one might be a little iffy because they could just have as many wives as they want. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So what this country was founded on was not a separation of church and state. And anyone who tries to tell you that probably rode the short bus to school. Just saying. A republic, if you can keep it, as Jim would say. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's get into, I'm going to do this to wrap up the show because I wasn't able to get to the Tyson Juneteenth stuff. Basically, it actually it kind of builds off. I'll do this quickly and then I'll get into, maybe I'll go a little bit longer today for you guys, but I'll start off with this one. Tyson sells employees Juneteenth shirts that strike out July 4th as Independence Day. So even another part of the BLM religion that I just discussed is that you have to denounce everything that has to do with America because America is all racist, no matter what. It's part of the original sin. So the chicken giant has faced criticism for hiring illegal immigrants over Americans as it lurches to the political left, which I find absolutely ironic because it is a major stereotype that African Americans are very big on their chicken. And of course, that would be the company that panders the most to the Black community and to the Black Lives Matter movement. Tyson Foods, the US-based meat supplier that's grown to be one of the world's largest companies, offered shirts to employees for its annual Juneteenth celebration. What did these shirts do? Well, you can see right there in that picture, it crosses out July 4th. You can see that. Juneteenth, 1865, because my ancestors weren't free in 1776. And so I will say privately, I was jokingly calling Juneteenth like Black Lives Matter 4th of July, because that's essentially what it was. I was calling it that before I even knew about these shirts, before these shirts even existed, because that's the reason why it was created. And you'll have all these people that are like, no, it's to recognize Black independence and everything like that. And I'm like, okay, well, so we're replacing American Independence Day and we're making it segregated, right? And they're like, no. That's not. The left will tell you, no. That's not what it's for. It's to build upon that. But then you see these emails obtained by the Daily Wire show the poultry industry giant selling shirts for its annual Juneteenth celebration that say the holiday marking the day in 1865 that African Americans in Texas learned that slavery had been abolished in the U.S. is the nation's true Independence Day. After the Daily Wire inquired about the shirts offered for the celebration, a source inside Tyson Foods says their Virginia office was ordered to cancel the sale and refund any employee who purchased a shirt. Days later, a spokesman for Tyson said it was unaware of the shirt's designs. So they're just stupid. Tyson Foods was unaware of the t-shirt design proposed by a team member, the spokesperson said. Upon review, it was determined that the t-shirts do not meet the company's dress code policy and they will not be sold or distributed. It is unclear how the shirts violate the dress code policy. That's what I was just thinking. The company did not respond to follow-up questions. The Arkansas-based corporation had faced criticism for years for embracing far-left politics. It openly declared earlier this year that it wanted to hire as many illegal migrants as it could, even as it shut down a plant that employed over 1,000 people in Iowa, stating that illegal workers were, quote, very, very loyal. The website features a diversity, equity, and inclusion portion as well. We can see some of it here, in which it uses the racist term Latinx. The Leaders of Tomorrow, which is BRG, is a group of multi-generational professionals dedicated to retention and development, talent, fostering community developing, and then the Pride Network. The holiday, long celebrated locally in Texas, garnered nationwide attention. We're talking about Juneteenth now. As Black Lives Matter staged protests across the country. Juneteenth, not the 4th of July, was the real Independence Day, wrote one author, further arguing that, quote, it's difficult to take pride in being American on 4th of July because of the intolerance and oppression still visible in society. And so this is what they want. This is essentially what, and everybody, when Juneteenth was being brought up, and like I would talk to people and I would be like, hey, this holiday is kind of racist and it's supposed to segregate American Independence Day to a quote unquote Black Independence Day. I had all these people that told me, I'm crazy. And the worst ones told me, I'm racist. Kevin, you're racist. No. You're segregating Independence Days. From day one of this country's founding, there were founding fathers that were dedicated to ending slavery and to ending that racist practice. Now, there were some that didn't agree with it. And it was back and forth. And now we have a society that overwhelmingly, almost entirely, agrees with ending slavery of all forms, but especially that of the race kind. So all of this is about maintaining, all of the Juneteenth stuff is about maintaining this idea that people are still oppressed based on race in this country due to a historical factor. The thing is that there is race-based oppression and prejudice in this country, but by no means is it at any point a legal portion unless you're talking about affirmative action. The only time in which racial prejudice is allowed is affirmative action, which is still allowed in hiring practices. Technically not allowed in college admissions. Technically. They're finding ways around it, but technically. So you want to talk about prejudice, you want to talk about independence, you want to talk about race not having independence and being in some way held back based on the color of their skin. Let's talk about the way in which we use diversity quotas and everything like that. But the left doesn't want to have that conversation. That was just a short little quick hit for you guys. I want to get next, finally, to one of my new favorite segments, Dear Kev, which is basically I take Dear Abby articles from the New York Post and I give my take. And these should be pretty quick because I think that my advice is pretty good. I think you guys can tell me if you guys ever need advice, you can always email me. I tell you, you can always email me at speechlesskpg@gmail.com and I will email you and I will talk with you and I can even answer your advice questions on the show. And I will keep you anonymous. I swear, I will keep you anonymous. You can Tell me however it is, and I will answer your question on my show, and I'd love to do that. So please, if you want advice of any kind, email me, speechlesskp@gmail.com, and then I can stop using these Dear Abby articles, and I can be your Abby. I will be your Abby. I will talk with you and give you sound advice. By no means am I any type of legal counselor or therapist, or do I have any expertise to actually give any of this advice. I'm doing it based on my own life experience, and whether or not you take it and whatever outcome comes, if you take it, I am not legally liable for it. I'd like to start off with that. Now let's get into this one. We're going to start off with this first one. Dear Abby, my tenant isn't vaccinated for COVID. What do I do? Dear Abby, several months ago, I let a 49-year-old son of a dear friend move into my basement. Jason pays me rent plus utilities. Last week, he informed me that he is not vaccinated for COVID. He was drinking at the time. Since my husband passed away with COVID in his system 2 years ago, I told Jason he would need to get vaccinated or find another place to live, but now I'm not sure he remembers the conversation. How should I handle this? I don't want to alienate his mother or him, whom I love like a son, over this. Here's what you do. So there's two things. First off, this really concerns you. You have bigger problems on your hands than him not being vaccinated. That's the first thing. The second thing that you do is you see what are the terms of your lease. If the terms of your lease say nothing about vaccination status, then you're SOL until it comes time to renew any type of lease or agreement. If you want him vaccinated immediately, then once again, look at your terms of your lease. Are you allowed to cancel within 30 days for violation? Are you able to cancel within 30 days for any reason? What are your local laws and policies? That's what I would say if you really have a problem with this. Now, but once again, if this is really that make or break of a problem, then you have bigger problems on your hand than this man not being vaccinated. So, oh Lord, it's Marxism. They want us divided by race because they can't by class. Absolutely. I've talked about this on this show before. Thank you for that one. Let's get on to the next one here. Dear Abby, my girlfriend and I broke up after 6 years. Both of us have children from marriages that ended 7 years ago. We reached a point a year and a half ago and started looking for a house together. After realizing we couldn't afford what she wanted in a home for a blended family, our relationship became strained. The last year has been our worst. As she suffered through job loss and other outside forces affecting her mental health, I tried to offer her more support, but she felt suffocated. I am sometimes too intense trying to find solutions, even when she says she needs space. I have not kept up my end of giving her space. We've had the best connection of our lives, so seeing her in pain has me distraught. She says she isn't able to give what I need in our relationship. While I have strived to be a good teammate in her times of need, now she says she is done because I didn't give her space. She's the love of my life. What do I do during this crushing and devastating time of my life? Man, this one's really hard. It seems like he really cares about this girl. And she asked for space and he didn't give it to her. And he recognizes that as a problem and a fault in of himself. But what I will say is I feel like there's probably something, there's definitely a side of the story that we're not being told. I would dig so much more into the question of these previous marriages. Why did those fail? The children from these previous marriages, how are those parents, like the separate parents, the ones that are not involved necessarily in this relationship, but are in terms of the fact that they have children that are involved in this situation. What are they doing? Where are they from? What's going on with them? Here's a constant thing I see as somebody who has done a lot of personal research into relationships, dating, problems, and how to solve them. This is something I find a lot, is that men, especially, constantly seek to find solutions. They want to solve the problem. However, women, not that they don't want to solve problems, like women do want, like if there's genuinely a problem, they want to solve them, but there is a time in which they just want to say, that really sucks. And they don't want you to try to solve it because they perceive you trying to solve it as if it's a problem that can be solved. And there are instances like job loss. So a man will look at job loss and say, okay, let's find all these other jobs you can apply for. Let's work on your resume. Let's do all this. As a woman will say, I just want a minute to sulk isn't the right word, but like they want a minute just to be like, man, this really sucks, to process it, to get through it, to not think about all the other shit that they need to do to come back from it. Other outside forces affecting her mental health, I obviously can't address those. But this man seems, look, I don't know about this girlfriend. I think I need to know her side of the story on this. Andrea's going hard on this poor girl. She's not done because she needs space. She's done because she has a new boyfriend. Oh, maybe. I mean, you could be right, Andrea, but thank you, Demon Goral. I appreciate that. Women just want to vent. And that's really what I think it is. And so the space thing, I think okay, now I don't necessarily agree. I can't validate whether or not Andrea is correct there. But what I will say is that if somebody says, I just need space, and they're saying the relationship is over because of that, it's usually more than just space. If somebody just needs space, then you can have space while still being in the relationship, while committing to said relationship. What is my advice to this guy? If a very, very smart person once told me, while it's an incredibly sad thought to break up with somebody, why would you want to be with somebody who so obviously doesn't want to be with you? So, just as much as you try to seek solutions for her when she loses her job or has other emotional distress, find solutions for yourself. And as hard as it might be, forget about her. What do you need? And find the solution. Just saying. She's moved on. Yeah, I have a few more Dear Abbeys I want to get to before I end out the show. I don't necessarily know that she had another boyfriend already, but she has. But what I have heard is that women tend to be really sad for like a day or like a week or in the beginning, and then they move on, as men will not really realize it for a while. Like it'll feel freeing at first, and then like a breakup will feel freeing at first, and then weeks later, days, weeks, months later, it'll hit them how much they actually miss a person. It's like those really funny memes where it's like, I think I should call her. Like he looks like at an Arby's sandwich and is like, I think I should call her, kind of thing. The space, I do think, is just an excuse. I will agree with that. I have two more Dear Abbeys that I want to discuss. And then I'm going to get out of here, but keep those comments coming, everybody. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. But let's get to this one here. Dear Abby, I stalked a DJ as a teen. I keep getting all these ads. I try using ad blocker, but it doesn't always work. I stalked a DJ as a teen in the 80s. Should I contact him again? Probably not, but let's get the scoop here. As a lonely, mixed-up teenager in the 1980s, I developed a huge crush on a disc jockey at a local radio station. I would call him at least once a night when he was on the air, and he was kind enough to take my calls and speak with me about whatever I wanted to babble about as long as he was able. My parents hired him to DJ my Sweet 16 party. And even though fewer than a dozen kids showed up, he was professional and gracious throughout the whole ordeal. The highlight of the party was when he danced with me after he started playing 16 Candles. I followed him to radio station events and was basically a general pest. He was nothing but kind, understanding, and patient. Now, in my mid-50s, I realized I had some undiagnosed mental and social issues throughout my childhood that weren't discussed and dealt with at the time, and I regret much of my behavior back then. The DJ is still involved in radio. He has since married and had children, and while I admit I was a tad jealous when I heard about it, I have grown to be happy for him and his family. He still holds a special place in my heart for being so kind and patient with me at such a weird time in my life. I never had boyfriends in high school or college. I married the first guy who took a serious interest in me, and he left after 7 years and 2 kids. I decided I wanted to reach out to the DJ with a letter thanking him for being there for me when I needed someone to talk to, for putting up with me for so long, and for understanding me when I didn't understand myself. I am not looking to interfere in his happy life, but I don't want to wait until his funeral to let him know how grateful I am and how much he meant to me. Should I write and send the letter? DJ saved my life. Okay. At first, this headline makes it seem really weird. And then I read it and I'm like, it's just kind of weird. This lady seems a little weird, but she's obviously going, she had a husband that left her. She's got 2 kids. And this DJ obviously made a profound impact on her. I don't think sending a letter would be a bad thing. I don't think it's a necessity, but if it's really eating you up that much, and you also are abundantly clear this is by no means a romantic interest, or like a, hey, I'm trying to slide in while you've been happily married and probably haven't thought about me in 30 years, go for it. Who cares? Never, and this is something I believe in, this is not usually how I apply this statement, but never wait to tell somebody how you feel, because you never know when you might not get the chance anymore. So this is not usually the instance that I would apply that to, but I think it's applicable in this situation. Okay, one more here. Dear Abby, for the last 3 years, my neighbor has been having an affair. Her husband, although a little slow, is fundamentally a nice guy, and I feel he should be told. I probably would do it, but the 2 of them own some land, and they let people hunt for fun, not for meat, on their property, which makes me disrespect them both. Jeez. Should I act on my knowledge, or should I let 2 people with no respect for the animal kingdom wallow in their own putrescine? And it looks like I'm frozen. And so give me one moment and I will answer this. Stay tuned. For anybody that stayed with me, thank you so much. I see that Jim had to go, but thank you for joining. Let's finish off this last part right here. With that, I'll reread this little split here at the end. We got, for the last 3 years, my neighbor has been having an affair. Her husband, although a little slow, is fundamentally a nice guy, and I feel like he should be told. So it's the woman cheating on the man. I probably would do it, but the 2 of them own some land and let people hunt for fun. So they're mad. They're mad that they hunt for fun. But here's the thing is that even hunting for fun, this kind of shows that this person doesn't really know, because hunting seasons are very specific, and they're also like, and I'm not even, I'll admit, like, I'm not like the biggest hunter. I've never gone and hunted for deer before. I've only done like pheasant hunting on farmland and some odds and ends, some squirrels and chipmunks and some stuff like that. But hunting seasons and regulated hunting is not always for meat either. You can use the deer for meat or whatever they're hunting, but it's usually for population control. That's really usually what it is. And so hunting, quote, for fun doesn't usually, I mean, people might have fun because they enjoy hunting, but even hunting for fun is usually actually hunting for population control. So this is just like so it shouldn't be potential whistleblower. This should be like disgruntled idiot. Because it seems like they care more about the hunting than they do actually about the cheating in the affair. There is a way to bring up to somebody. I'm also very interested in that Culver's pretzel burger. It looked really good. But there is a way to bring up to somebody that you don't necessarily know that well, out of respect that somebody is having in their life is having an affair and you witness something, you know something, there's a way to do that respectfully, to where you want to know, like, you don't want anything to do with it. You're not trying to ruin anything. There's no ulterior motive. It's just like, hey, I saw this. You deserve to know, and I respect you for it. So that's what I would recommend. But I also don't blame anybody who says it's not my place, and like let God do his will. Do what you think is best in that situation. Like that's really my advice is the entire idea of the hunting is a red herring in the actual property. If you believe that it actually plays a role, then don't tell them, because you obviously don't actually give a shit about anybody. Because you don't even give you don't even give a crap about doing your own research and learning. So I don't even trust that you really know that the neighbor has been having an affair, because how would you know? You can't even do the research. Maybe it's like literally the wife hanging out with her brother and you didn't know. I don't know. I don't trust this person. In a general idea of knowing that somebody has an affair, is having an affair, do what you think is best, and it's very contextual. If you believe that you are a person suited to tell and to bring that to light, and you do it in a way that shows respect rather than any type of condescension, maybe do it. But also, I don't blame anybody who says it's not my place. So that's the way I see it. Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments, everybody. You don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with the friend. But we can look at some of the comments here as to what you guys think, because I always want to know what you, especially with those advice ones, what would you guys say? Andrea says the neighbor is assuming they both have a traditional marriage. They have a traditional marriage. Bottom line is it's none of her business. Yes, that's true. I never even thought about that. They could be like swingers and engage in sexual degeneracy. That is possible. Maybe you're right. It's none of her business. I'm just kind of floored about the hunting comment. I thought that seemed to take so much more precedent. I don't know. I was very involved in that Culver's pretzel burger. I was very interested in that. But everybody, like I say, always don't forget to like everything that I do. Go check out some of my other videos. I do a lot of content. I'm always interested in what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. I had more content I wasn't going to able to get to during this show. I will do other videos for it. I'll record it throughout the week. I have more stuff coming out with Breakaway USA. So make sure to not miss a minute. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, hit it to all. If you're on Rumble right now, check out YouTube too, because that's where most of my content goes. But I am a little bit on Rumble because I try my best. But God bless you guys. God bless America. Support the show. Thank you so much. And until next time, you've been watching Speechless.